Fog of Love was published in 2017 by Hush Hush Projects and Floodgate Games. It was designed by Jakub Jasko and illustrated by Moik Højgaard, Lotte M. Klivbol Jasko, Jeppe Norska, and Cecile Fosheim. Floodgate Games provided this copy in exchange for an honest review. Two players roleplay throughout different scenes to see if their relationship will succeed or not. You track two main points in the game, satisfaction and personality. Satisfaction represents personal happiness and is tracked on your character card. This is earned by fulfilling trait goals and by decisions made during the game scenes. Personality is defined by 12 aspects across 6 dimensions: discipline, curiosity, extroversion, sensitivity, gentleness, and sincerity. You and your partner place personality tokens on these shared tracks depending on your traits and decisions. It's important to remember that you and your partner are role-playing characters, not yourselves. At the beginning, choose a gender, 3 traits, and 1 occupation. Traits represent your personality, and they provide personal or shared goals. Occupation gives 1 personality token. You and your partner then choose 3 features that you notice about the other. Update your personality aspects afterwards. Each character works toward fulfilling their destiny. At the start, you have several destinies open to you, but these narrow and are changed depending on in-game decisions. Generally, a higher satisfaction makes fulfilling a destiny easier. At the end of the game, your final destiny will tell you whether your relationship survived or not. That's the components and end goal. Let me explain how scenes work. You'll play out scenes across several chapters, each representing a type of scenario. Sweet is playful and romantic, serious features important life events, drama is emotional and or secretive. Some scenes have unique effects, such as secrets and reactions. The chapter determines which draw deck you use, as well as a few other special rules. Alternate playing and resolving scene cards. Usually both players choose an action. Decisions involve 1 or 2 of you and may affect personal satisfaction, personality, or both. Choice tokens are secretly played and then simultaneously revealed, and the turn by updating the board. At the finale, players resolve their final destiny card to see if they fulfilled their destiny as well as the outcome of the relationship. To break it down, roleplay an act or a relationship to see if you remain as a couple. That's Fog of Love. Our games of Fog of Love, including Setup and Takedown, have been around 90 minutes. The specific story plays a role, but none of our games have been more than an hour and 45 minutes. You only need around 3 square feet. Players have a small area in front of them, and the rest sits on the main board. During some of the colder winter weeks, we played on the floor in front of the fireplace. The publisher recommends this for adults, even though, in terms of the mechanisms, kids as young as 9 would have no problems. Here's the thing, I'm 13, and trust me, 13-year-olds are not mature whatsoever, but would know of the topics covered in this game. It's the life experience and understanding of how to maintain real relationships that would be difficult. Parents could go through the decks and set them up for their 13-year-olds and older to at least try, understanding that older teens would get more out of the scenarios. In our third game of Fog of Love, Mom played You Need to Forgive Me. She apologized for breaking into my phone to read my text without my permission. I didn't forgive her, costing us both relationship satisfaction. The very next scene I played that was an easy password, revealing one of her secrets. See how hypocritical that was of me? It fit my character though, so. Fog of Love's tutorial is excellent, not only teaching but explaining the core concepts. Rulebook can then be kept nearby to reference or use when hiding up to reset the tutorial for the future. After you play the other scenarios, you can mix scenes and decks for variability. The choice tokens are nice poker chips, the wood personality tokens fit into sturdy boxes divided between players, and the box insert keep things organized nicely. The board has designated spots to keep the footprint small, and their graphic design is nice and clean. I do wish the scene card text wasn't so small, and that the card backs were more distinct to make it easier when scanning the board, and setting up and taking down. The colors are pink and blue, but you can play in-game gender. Dad uses pink every time. Our box cover is 2 feminine-presenting silhouettes, but the board is masculine and femme. I wish those was more generic for people who don't fit those genders. The game does a nice job of giving you some really difficult decisions balanced by ones that are more personal preference. Choice of breakfast in bed, for example. It keeps this from being emotionally draining, while at the same time capturing the feel of an actual relationship. The scenes make it feel like sometimes we were getting more in sync, and then others we were falling out of love. It can be tough at times wanting to do one thing for the narrative, but needing to do something different to fulfill personal goals and or your destiny. There are times when you can almost read each other's mind because the game state gives you both insight into the other's desire. Then again, you'll sometimes be like, oh, they're totally gonna want to go to Italy. And they're like, sorry, but I'm absolutely buried at work. The game does a good job showing progress and helping players track where they are in the overall game. Her chapters overlay scenes so that the previous card bottoms are visible. This reminds you of modifiers, draw decks, and chapter scene limits. You'll always know if you have a secret, how many destinies you have, and your current personality. The stories in the base box offer variety because of how the cards come out, and your personal goals and desires will be affected by destinies, traits, and so on. Speaking of destinies, this game is about the journey. If you break up or fail to fulfill your destiny card, you still probably had a good time. It's a little strange playing a game where you aren't necessarily trying to win. I like that some scenes allow you and or your partner to change a trait, occupation, or reset personality tokens. When choosing for your partner, you better hope that you know each other well. I totally get why this is designed for 2 players, but I think a couples box could be very interesting. It could add a social life and maybe more secrets because you feel comfortable talking with your friend. Or would you? There could be a temptation to cheat. And what about something for polyam people? I think there's a lot of potential here. Before I talk about the level lockdown expansion that Floodgate also provided, I wanted to say that I'd love to see a teen-focused expansion. The game already has you learning about yourself as much as your partner. Giving adolescents a way to safely navigate relationships would be wonderful. Instead of occupations, how about jobs and hobbies? Peers and families could play a larger role, not to mention school life. Level Lockdown includes new scenes and destinies, a branching story, and a mini-board for the new personality dimensions, reckless and apathetic. Despite its small box, I feel like it adds a lot, substantially changing how you approach things without making the gameplay more complex. I think it's more playable than any story in the base box. Just make sure you don't forget to add tokens to the risk board when changing the extroversion and discipline dimensions. We did a few times in our first play. Anyhow, this is my favorite Fog of Love story. You have more to think about, more control-ish over the direction things go, and the writing is excellent. Well, the story at least. I do think a few cards could have been edited to make clearer. Fog of Love is a 2-player co-op that has you role-playing the highs and lows and possible end of a relationship. It's a fascinating design and one of the more in-depth and interesting experiences I've played. Depending on the game state, shared or completely opposite decisions generate great role-playing moments, if not emotional ones. There can be times where the role-playing is replaced token management and things become a little samey. I've talked what do I think about my enjoyment of the one expansion and would like to try a few others. Paranormal Romance sounds cool. I hope to see that teen-focused one someday as well as some other relationship types to explore. My video, or possibly just the game's description, will give you an idea as to whether you enjoy this or not. I think it's worth playing for many people. Even anxiety could prevent this from being a great icebreaker or a social experiment in schools or at conventions.